the case. Those are two of the people who were involved in that particular saga. That is Barak Odwor and Michael Oyamo. Then there's, of course, Kaspal Ojwang Obiero, who is the governor's PA. The car used in the abduction was his wife's, and a meeting was held at his home on the day of the kidnapping. That is, of course, on the 3rd of September. The other gentlemen involved in the case are a former MCA, and that is Lawrence Obonyo Mula, who was arraigned before Akisi court, and the prosecution asked for more time to investigate him. Apparently, he brought Miss Otieno to Barak Odwor's attention. He was looking for a journalist to write her story, and he became sort of an informal mediator, acting on behalf of Miss Otieno in negotiations with Mr. Obado. As was already established, the child Sharon was carrying was the governor's undisputedly. According to the Nation, that was 99.99%, according to the DNA report. The other gentleman who is involved in that saga is Omondi Okoth Elvis, a police constable and who was acting as a governor's bodyguard. He instructed the driver to pick up Mr. Oyamo and attended the meeting in Mr. Obiero's house. And finally, we have Jackson Otieno Gombe, who was the driver of the grey Toyota Fielder, the KCL 481K, who got instructions from the governor's bodyguard, and that is Omondi Okoth Elvis, to pick up Miss Oyamo at Uriri, and he was possibly present throughout the abduction and killing of Miss Otieno. Now let's get the latest from the Milimani Law Court. We are joined by Ken Mijungu. Ken, what's the latest? What is happening?
Right, thank you very much, Olive. And of course, the court has just adjourned briefly, and we expect next we'll have this case decided over by Justice Joyce Lesit. And we are not sure because there was a lot of matters that were ahead of that. She's just cleared some criminal matters that were before her, and she's taken a break, ordering that the court to be reorganized. So we expect that the governor would be presented in court next, Olive. And of course, you have made a very comprehensive statement based on the reporting by Nation on this case and what we expect. But this morning, Kenyans, of course, woke up to the letter from the Directorate of, from the DPP rather, preparing charges and instructing the prosecutors to move to court to charge the governor with criminal offenses. So when the court convenes next, only we expect perhaps this will be the first case, and we already know that the governor was brought to Milimani very early in the morning. He's still in the holding cells, and we've not been able to see him, but of course we were fortunate to get the pictures when he was arriving earlier on in the morning, and probably we'll have the pictures on air shortly. And then we know also that the other co-accused are not appearing with him in court today, because this is basically a session there whereby he will take plea based on the charges that will be preferred against them. We vaguely know about the charges, which is aiding and abetting murder, and of course very comprehensive statement from the DPP, except it's not really put out its case out in the letter that was sent to the public regarding this case, but the details of this case will emerge as the proceedings go. But what we expect now is just taking plea with the guilty or not guilty, and from that the prosecution is able to proceed. But also based on that, we expect an application of bail. Obviously he's been in custody from last week Friday, so there's a lot of things to expect today, but probably the first thing will be that taking plea. Then after taking plea, probably now they'll do a bail application. Olive.
Okay. Who is representing the governor? Who forms his legal team?
So far, we know this criminal matter is being held, is being brought on behalf of the governor with the criminal lawyer, Cliff Ombeta. We're sure Cliff, we've seen him a lot. He's also been speaking a lot. So probably over the weekend, the defense team has changed. But as at last week, we are certain that Cliff Ombeta is leading this criminal case. Olive.
Okay, is the courtroom packed with his supporters, and what are the security arrangements like?
As expected, it's packed to the brim. In fact, when Justice Lesit left the courtroom, he ordered the security to reorganize the courtroom and said that anyone who is standing is to leave the courtroom. But as expected, you still must find a few people standing here and there. The journalists must be standing. The benches are full with members of the bar. And of course, outside there's a lot of activity. Right at the entrance of Milimani local, there are lots of people being from that county. I've noticed a lot of people from that county also, of course, in solidarity with the governor. Outside the courtroom is even full, Olive. You don't even have space to stand outside because there's a lot of people. The security arrangements inside the court, we have several security personnel. From where I'm standing, I can see a policeman sitting just next to where the judge will be sitting right at the door. There are about 2 APs inside where people are standing. There are our other policemen who have left, I think, because they've let a lot of people out. So from the pictures you can see the content or the number of people in court have reduced drastically on instruction of the judge. But yes, the courtroom is very full. Olive.
Do we have any idea who will be presenting the state's case?
It could be the DPP. I have not seen anyone from the DPP's office. I've just seen lawyers on the bench. I've seen quite a number of them, but I'm not certain who will be leading this case. But it has to be one person. It has to be someone from the DPP's office who will be leading this case. But I have been able to see Peter Opondo Keluma, the Homa Bay Member of Parliament. I don't know where he stands, but this girl was from his constituency. So I'm suspecting probably he will be representing the family, but that's not clear yet. But I've been able to see him in court, plus a host of other lawyers. Cliff Ombeta himself is not here. Rogers is not here, but I see ladies. Oh, Cliff has just arrived. I can see him. You can see him now in the pictures. He's standing right there. He's just arrived. I'm not used to seeing him in the robes. I couldn't get to see him earlier, but that is the picture of Cliff. He's in court currently, plus a host of other lawyers. But from the DPP side, I'm not clear who's leading this case, Olive.
Okay, so are you in the High Court? Is that where matters to do with murder are handled?
Yes, definitely. It is. That's where we are.
Okay. And what can we expect? In your experience, what do we expect in terms of what will transpire?
Pretty simple this morning. Just come, Obado will be arraigned at the dock, just where you can see, just beyond where Cliff is standing right now. He'll be held there and he'll be asked to stand at some point, and he'll be asked to take plea, guilty or not. Then next, I think what the lawyers will be doing is to ask for or to apply for bail, and that will be the discretion of the judge. Of course, as expected, the prosecution is going to oppose this. He's a high-profile member of the society. He's still a sitting governor. He's not a flight risk. We know his residence, but you expect those things to come up in the application by the prosecution. They'll want to resist this, and also because he has a lot of influence, they might also bring up the matter of probably influencing the witnesses or interfering with the witnesses. All those matters will come out. They'll try to tell the judge, give the reasons why he should not be released on bail. On top of it, from my experience, will be interfering with the witnesses or ability to interfere with the witnesses, holding that position. And you know, his very close aides have been mentioned in this. You mentioned them at the top. So you expect the prosecution to be very firm and submit their case and tell the judge, these are the reasons why we don't want you to release him on bail. The other reason that might suffice all this is the fact that they're still doing investigations. There's a lot of connections. There's a lot of loose ends, not strictly speaking, but loose ends in that they still need to collaborate a lot of their evidence and have a watertight case. But also my experience with the current DPP, it never just comes to court to present half-baked cases. So this is one of them, but from the corridor talks, there's a lot of whisper in terms of the charges that we have seen in the sheet from the DPP. They say accessory to murder, aiding or abetting murder. They look at it as very flimsy charges, but those will be determined during the trial. For now, our expectation is to take plea, guilty or not guilty. Then obviously it will be a not guilty, and then they will begin the process, set a hearing date, and then they will do the bail application. After the bail application, it will be set. If the judge feels that you should not hold him further, they can still investigation, then he'll be released on bail. Every case in this country nowadays is illegal. Then they'll handle the case from outside Olive, but that's basically the two major things that are happening in court this morning.
Okay, and DNA evidence seems to be a big part of the prosecution's case. Is it admissible?
Yes, it is, and that's why it was ordered for. It's conclusive. DNA is always a very good evidence, so to say, because it's conclusive, especially with expert evidence. And in this case, that's one of the things that will play out. So bring in experts, probably Cliff would want to bring his own expert, probably to discount the theory of the police and discount the DNA if it was not done independently or who did it. So it's a big thing here because that then gives a direct link to Obado, the unborn child, a fact that is not denied previously, that is the father of the child, or he might have not spoken about it publicly, but that is conclusive because in criminal cases, Olive, you must have three elements. There must be the mental, there must be the status of mind, then there must be the actor's reus, there must be that, so of course, then there has to be a criminal intent. So the three aspects must be explicit in a criminal case. So if they're not there, then the case is likely to crumble or there'll be a little fumbling from the top. So those three elements must be established. And one of the ways to establish that there is the mental, you must have the state of mind. Why would you want to commit? Is such things like having direct nexus or direct connection with it. So once they establish that Obado has a direct connection with the baby, then we're there. Then there is the state of mind. Then you have to have the act that was done. So all those elements need to be established. The three are very important in criminal law. Olive?
So have you laid eyes on the governor? Do we know whether he's in the precincts? And are there family members of Sharon present?
So far, it's difficult to tell. As I mentioned before, the court was really full at the beginning, but you expect Sharon's family members. The story we did yesterday about the family talking about being threatened, their uncle being threatened and being trailed, but yes, Obado is already here. He was brought in very early in the morning. There's a holding basement cell right here at Milimani Olive. So he's right there. He'll only be brought out when the case is about to begin or when we know that it's the case that is going first. Probably it's just around the corner. Probably it's just behind where the judge sits. Or probably it's just still in the holding cell. And as soon as the judge walks in, if we know for a fact that will be the first case to be handling, then definitely he'll be brought up here to this court. But the family members, it's really difficult to tell from where we're sitting because the court is still packed and there's a lot of people. I'm told that, yes, there are family members. I'm told there are family members sitting within the crowd here, Oliver.
Do you have any idea whether you spoke of state of mind. Do you have any idea whether he's undergone a mental assessment?
Unless it's brought up by the prosecution, I don't think it's not necessary. Obviously, from the defense side, they don't need to bring it up. But if it's brought up by the prosecution, they need to test the state of mind. You see, he is an accessory. He is aided or abetted. Probably he did not commit the crime. If you see the DPP statement, it's very explicit. The DPP still says that the people who committed the murder, the hitmen, still need to be arrested and arraigned in court. So they know he's not the hitman, but they believe that he planned for it. All the links that you've been drawing, the way Nation has been reporting and other outlets, all those links point to the fact that he may be behind this. So yes, unless the prosecution brings it up, I don't think the defense is likely to bring it up, unless, of course, they want to use it as a strategy. But usually in criminal cases, that only happens when they are they are directly connected in that they're the people who committed the murder or they're the hitmen. They like to see, if, for example, it was a homicide, they like to see his state of mind because usually it's pleaded by the defense side. They say, I was not in the right state of mind when I committed the murder, or I was not, I was intoxicated. So they have to bring that aspect, or sometimes some mistake and they get this probably rush of emotions. I'm unable to control myself. I did it. But that happens directly to the person who does it, Olive.
Okay. How much of what has transpired in the court of public opinion is likely to influence what will happen now in the actual court of law?
Quite a lot. It shouldn't happen, but everyone is human. It happens because there's a direction. If you see for the last 3 weeks or so, Kenyans have been on this case, Olive, and what they want to see, they want the killers behind bars. They want blood drawn. They want the perpetrators of this heinous act, as it's been called, to be behind bars. They want justice for Sharon. So even as the judge sits there, that little element of Kenyan public opinion influences, because at the end of the day, the law is the law. It has to take its course. He might be innocent, he might be guilty, and if he's innocent, or alternatively, he may not be innocent, but so long as it's not sufficient case, believe me, criminal law will let him off the hook. That's why it has to be a watertight case. But on the flip side, you're looking at a populace that are eager, because there's so many unresolved murders, Olive. There's so many. Right now, there are 2 more. We are looking at the young girl who was killed in Meru. We're looking at the young boy who did a story yesterday, also was found in a banana plantation. And we're looking at Jacob Juma, still unresolved. We are looking at a lot of murders. So at least Kenyans are looking at this case and thinking we need to see. And for this, there being a high-profile person behind it, they're really looking at the court and they're thinking the court needs to deliver justice. So in the court of public opinion, justice is only one way, Olive. They have to get a conviction of this high-profile person, but still the law is the law and it has to take its course. If the prosecution presents a weak case, believe me, the judges are not in the business of determining cases that are frivolous or that are weak, and they're not in they use the presentation from the defense and prosecution to convict. They, in their own way, they are unable to do it unless the case is supported by facts. So regardless of what the public thinks about this case, it has to be on the evidence, on the probable value of this evidence. That is the only way to nail or acquaint the suspects. Olive?
Okay, thank you very much. Ken will stay with that story and keep bringing us the latest from the Milimani Law Courts, where